Well, Israel's economy was, of course, a major factor in this election campaign, as it is in many elections, despite the lack of a clear economic manifesto from Binyamin Netanyahu's party. Our business editor, Stephen Carroll, is here with more on this. Hi there, Stephen.
Hi, Catherine.
No manifesto as such. What promises came from Likud vis-à-vis the economy?
This non-manifesto is something the party has done before, and it's interesting on the economic front because it's indicative of the split within the Likud party. You have the Netanyahu followers who are very liberal, who are very kind of pro-free market economy, but there are others within the party who would prefer that it returns to its previous set of policies, which was more to do with welfare supporting. So interestingly, before the election, in a speech that Binyamin Netanyahu made in December, he did promise that he would cut certain basic food goods, cut the VAT on them entirely, in fact. So that's currently an 18% rate of VAT, so would represent quite a big cut on products like milk, bread and cheese. Now, this is in response to the consistent complaints from Israelis about the cost of living. It's an extremely expensive country. When you look at proportion to wages to how much things cost, it's an expensive place to live. And it's a nod to that growing unhappiness that was represented in opinion polls before this election. Now, interesting what's going to happen now is as we don't have any great policy statements from Netanyahu's party, of course, who he decides to do business with in coalition talks, if it is him eventually that forms that governing coalition, will dictate probably more so where those domestic economic policies come from. And in those negotiations, a very interesting person to watch will be Moshe Kalon. He's, of course, a former communications minister. He was a member of the Likud party before he left. He was largely credited, or his greatest achievement, I suppose, in the eyes of Israelis, was opening up the mobile phone market, which has seen mobile costs fall dramatically in Israel. Very popular decision as a result. He wants to bring that sort of monopoly-breaking attitude to other areas of the economy, particularly housing. That's an issue that's a real red-button one for Israelis. House prices have risen by 55% in the past 5 years. Many people cannot afford to buy a home. He has ideas for how to break the idea to how to build houses faster, I should say, and to make them, as a result, more affordable, putting more supply on the market. And we may see a lot of his policies going into an eventual economic manifesto, I suppose, put together by the new government.
And interestingly enough, those domestic economic issues, those cost of living issues, they sort of belie an Israeli economy that would be the envy of many other countries in the world.
That's right. If you look at how Israel survived the financial crisis and, of course, all the unrest that affected a lot of its neighbouring countries, it's a pretty steady picture as regards economic growth. The OECD says that the Israeli economy grew by 2.5% last year. It's forecasting growth of 3.1% this year. Pretty healthy, and no great dip after that 2009 period. But poverty is still a big issue. 1 in 5 Israelis live below the poverty line. And although while on the stock market we've seen huge gains under Netanyahu, the stock market value has almost doubled. It's interesting to see that today, looking at what the trading in Tel Aviv is, the market's opened up only just very slightly today in trading. This is the top 100 companies in Israel listed on the Tel Aviv 100. As you can see, the market only slightly up, no great reaction there.
All right, thanks very much, Stephen Carroll, our business editor here on Live from Paris.